Before Ghost became a kingpin, before Tommy became his brother-in-arms, there was one bond that shaped the streets in silence. The unspoken connection between Kanan and Tasha, 50 Cent has dropped hints, subtle but powerful, that their history runs deeper than what we saw on screen. But the question still lingers, what really happened between Kanan and Tasha before the world of power unfolded? Was it loyalty? Was it betrayal? Or was it something far more dangerous that's been hidden in the shadows all this time? Asterisk to understand the mystery that surrounds Tasha and Kanan, we first need to go back to the very roots of the power universe. Tasha St. Patrick, from the very beginning, was never written as just the wife of a drug dealer. She was not a side character, not a background figure. She was a strategist in her own right, a woman whose intelligence and survival instincts often outshined even Ghost himself. From the pilot episode, Tasha is painted as someone who understands the game, who reads moves before they happen, who knows the risks of the streets and the devil her family lives in. She is both loyal and calculating, vulnerable yet dangerous when pushed. This balance of strength and vulnerability is what made her such a magnetic character, one the audience could never fully predict. Asterisk now, on the other side, there is Kanan Stark, played by 50 Cent, a man who embodies survival, betrayal, and power at its rawest form. Kanan is not simply Ghost's old mentor. He is the architect of much of the chaos that shaped the entire series. His methods are ruthless, his vision clear. To dominate, to control, to remind everyone that respect in the streets is not given but taken. While Ghost evolved into a businessman who wanted legitimacy, Kanan stayed true to the unforgiving laws of the street. This difference is what sparked their downfall, their rivalry, and ultimately their war. But somewhere in between Ghost and Kanan, in the space that history often forgets to highlight, stands Tasha. Asterisk, and this is where the intrigue begins. For much of the series, the relationship between Tasha and Kanan is shown in fragments. Small interactions, sharp glances, unspoken tension. Unlike Ghost, who tried to keep the family image clean while hiding his second life, Tasha was the bridge. She understood Ghost's ambitions but also knew the dangers Kanan represented. The streets respected Kanan in ways Ghost couldn't always control. And Tasha, smart as she was, would never ignore that. This raises the question, what did Tasha and Kanan really share before the audience entered their lives? Because if Kanan truly was Ghost's mentor, then surely Tasha was part of that world long before the betrayals began. Asterisk 50 Cent himself has teased that there's more to the story. When he hints at Tasha's backstory, it's not by accident. His storytelling style has always been layered, dropping small details that later explode into full arcs. Remember, Kanan's character wasn't just built as a villain. He was crafted as a mirror to Ghost, a reflection of the path Ghost abandoned but could never fully escape. If Tasha had deeper ties to Kanan, even ones rooted in loyalty or survival rather than romance, it could completely rewrite how fans see her character. Was she just Ghost's partner, or was she also connected to the very streets that Kanan ruled? Asterisk the brilliance of power is that it never spoon-feeds answers. It leaves gaps, spaces for speculation. And this is where the fascination begins. Fans have always wondered if there was a hidden alliance between Tasha and Kanan, something Ghost never knew or never admitted. Could it be that Tasha owed Kanan something from the past? Or perhaps Kanan saw in Tasha the same kind of sharp mind he respected, even if he never openly said it. One thing is clear. Every time Tasha and Kanan shared the screen, the air changed. The tension was thicker. The stakes felt higher. These were not two people who just happened to know each other because of Ghost. There was history in the silence, weight in their exchanges. Asterisk, this is why when 50 Cent teases Tasha's backstory in connection with Kanan, fans pay attention. He's not just teasing for shock value. He's setting the stage for a story that was always there, hidden beneath the main plot, waiting to be told. And with Power Origins now aiming to dive deeper into untold beginnings, This could finally be the chance for that hidden truth to come out. Because the truth is, Ghost's story was never only his. It was shaped by the people around him, by Tommy, by Kanan, and most importantly, by Tasha. And maybe, just maybe, the woman who stood by his side all those years was carrying secrets of her own. Secrets that even Ghost never saw coming. Asterisk 150 Cent speaks about power. Fans listen. Not just because he played one of the most iconic characters in the series, but because he has always been the mastermind behind the world we see on screen. As the executive producer and creator, every hint, every suggestion, every cryptic comment he drops is part of a larger plan. So when he teases something about Tasha's backstory, specifically her connection with Kanan, it isn't just a throwaway remark. It's a signal, it's a breadcrumb in the trail of a bigger narrative that he already knows and is choosing to share piece by piece. Asterisk in an interview clip that sparked waves of speculation across the fandom, 50 Cent mentioned Tasha in a way that immediately caught people's attention. He didn't just talk about her as Ghost's wife, he positioned her in relation to Kanan, hinting that there was more history there than people realize. The choice of words matters here. History is different from relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean romance, but it does suggest shared experiences, hidden moments, things that happened before the audience joined the story in season 1. And when 50 uses language like that, he's inviting fans to think deeper, to question what the show left unsaid. Asterisk, let's pause on that word for a second. History. In the world of power, history is everything. Every betrayal, every alliance, every rivalry is born out of what came before. Ghost and Kanan's conflict wasn't random, it was built on years of mentorship, trust, and betrayal. Tommy and Ghost's brotherhood wasn't instant, it was forged in their youth, long before we met them. So if Tasha has a history with Kanan, that immediately changes how we rate her character. She's no longer just the woman caught between Ghost's ambition and Kanan's revenge. She becomes a player with her own unspoken past in the game. Asterisk 50 Cent knows exactly what he's doing when he teases fans like this. He understands that. The audience is obsessed with connecting dots, with finding meaning in the gaps. And in many ways, Tasha has always been the perfect character for this kind of mystery. She's someone who played her cards close to the chest, who often revealed only what was necessary to survive. Throughout the series, she withholds truths from Ghost, from her kids, even from her allies. If she had secrets involving Kanan, would it really surprise us? Or would it feel like a missing puzzle piece finally being put in place? Asterisk the tease also hits deeper because of how Kanan viewed Tasha on screen. Unlike Ghost, who often underestimated or dismissed her, Kanan never treated her like she was naive. He spoke to her with a sharpness, sometimes even with respect hidden beneath his threats. He acknowledged her intelligence. He knew she wasn't just a bystander in Ghost's empire, she was part of its foundation. That energy makes 50 Cent's comments about their history even more believable. If Kanan looked at Tasha differently than Ghost did, maybe it's because he remembered something Ghost had forgotten, or perhaps something Ghost never even knew. Asterisk some fans believe 50 Cent's tease hints at an alliance between Tasha and Kanan before Ghost ever rose to power. Imagine this, a young Tasha already wise to the streets, crossing paths with Kanan in a moment of survival. Maybe she helped him with a problem, maybe he vouched for her in a dangerous situation. Or maybe she proved her loyalty in a way that left a lasting impression. If that were true, then Kanan's later interactions with her carry a different weight. He wouldn't just be seeing Ghost's wife, he'd be seeing someone who once stood beside him, someone he once trusted, or someone who owed him something. That dynamic could explain the subtle tension in their scenes, the sense that they were always measuring each other, always holding back more than they revealed. Asterisk another possibility that fans have raised, and which 50 Cent's comments leave open, is that Kanan and Tasha might have shared a deeper emotional connection. Not necessarily romantic, but something built on mutual understanding. Tasha knew the struggle of being tied to the streets, of watching men chase power while women carried the consequences? Kanan knew the cost of betrayal, of being left behind by those he trusted most. In that shared pain, could there have been moments where they leaned on each other? Where they confided in one another in ways Ghost never knew? It's this ambiguity that 50's tease ignites. He doesn't answer the question. He simply stirs the pot and lets the audience debate. Another possibility that fans have raised, and which 50 Cent's comments leave open, is that Kanan and Tasha might have shared a deeper emotional connection. Not necessarily romantic, but something built on mutual understanding. Tasha knew the struggle of being tied to the streets, of watching men chase power while women carried the consequences. Kanan knew the cost of betrayal, of being left behind by those he trusted most. In that shared pain, could there have been moments where they leaned on each other, where they confided in one another in ways Ghost never knew? It's this ambiguity that 50's tease ignites. He doesn't answer the question. He simply stirs the pot and lets the audience debate. But make no mistake, this is not random fan service. When 50 Cent hints at something, it's because he's already planted the seeds for it in the story. His method of storytelling is long-term, layered, and intentional. Just like the reveal of Ghost's past betrayals with Kanan reshaped the entire narrative, a reveal about Tasha's hidden history could do the same. It could redefine her choices, her loyalty, and even her downfall. It could also set up power origins with a storyline that ties everything together. The triangle between Ghost, Kanan, and Tasha wasn't just about business. It was about personal history, secrets, and scars that refuse to fade. And this is why the fandom buzzed so loudly after his comments, because deep down, fans know there's truth in what he's saying. Tasha has always been more than what the series showed. Kanan has always been more layered than just a villain. And if the two share a backstory that was never fully revealed, it means the Power universe is holding onto a bombshell that could completely rewrite how we see its origins. When you watch the original Power series closely, you start to notice something about Tasha and Kanan. Their relationship was never random, never surface level. Every time they crossed paths, there was tension. Not loud, not always spoken, but heavy like a storm cloud in the room. For a casual viewer, these moments might look like simple exchanges between a crime boss and his rival's wife. But for fans who know how Courtney Kemp and 50 Cent write this universe, the silences are just as important as the words. And in those silences between Tasha and Kanan, there was always history. Let's start with what we do know. On screen, Kanan was portrayed as Ghost's old friend turned bitter enemy. Ghost and Tommy set him up, had him arrested, and left him to rot, betrayal at the highest level. When Kanan came back into the story, his rage was directed mostly at Ghost, but his interactions with Tasha were different. He never looked at her the same way Ghost did. Ghost often underestimated Tasha, saw her as the loyal wife who didn't understand his bigger dreams of going legit. But Kanan looked at her like someone who already knew the streets, like someone who had been through the fire and could survive it. That respect, subtle but visible, hinted at something deeper between them. One of the clearest examples comes when Kanan tries to manipulate Tariq, Ghost, and Tasha's son. Tasha despises Kanan for this, but watch closely, she never treats him like a stranger intruding on her family. She speaks to him like someone who has already fought battles with him in the past, someone who knows exactly how dangerous he can be because she's seen it before. That's not fear from the unknown, that's wariness from familiarity. And when Kanan throws sharp lines at her, they don't sound like empty threats. They sound like someone reminding her of things she'd rather keep buried. Now, if we shift to what we don't know, the space that 50 Cent is teasing, the story gets even more interesting. Was there a time before Ghost and Tasha were married when she and Kanan shared a moment of trust? Could it be that Tasha once depended on him in a way Ghost never knew? Some fans believe the chemistry between them wasn't accidental, that it came from the writers planting seeds of a shared past. If you rewatch their scenes, you'll notice that Kanan never talks about Tasha the way he talks about Ghost or Tommy. He doesn't dismiss her. He doesn't pity her. He treats her like someone who knows the rules of the game. That energy suggests familiarity, and familiarity suggests history. Asterisk, think about how Tasha was introduced in the show. She wasn't the typical TV wife who had no idea what her husband was doing. From the very beginning, she was in on Ghost's world, helping him, advising him, even pushing him deeper into the game when he wanted to leave it. That level of awareness doesn't come from nowhere. It means Tasha was already seasoned before Ghost ever thought about becoming legit, and if she was already sharp enough to play that role, who taught her? Who gave her the knowledge of how the streets worked, of how to survive betrayal? Maybe it wasn't Ghost. Maybe it was Kanan. It's not far-fetched to imagine a scenario where Tasha and Kanan crossed paths years before Ghost's betrayal. Picture a young Tasha, not yet married, navigating the dangers of New York. Maybe she had to rely on Kanan for protection, or maybe she proved herself in front of him in a way that earned his respect. If that happened, then their later scenes take on a whole new meaning. Kanan wouldn't just see her as Ghost's wife. He would see her as someone he had once stood beside, someone who once carried secrets with him, someone who reminded him of a time before everything went wrong. Asterisk, and here's where the drama intensifies. If Ghost ever knew about this history, it would shake the foundation of their marriage. Ghost was already obsessed with control over his image, his empire, his family. To find out that Tasha once had her own bond with Kanan, his enemy, would be the ultimate betrayal in his eyes. But what if Tasha kept it hidden because she knew it would destroy everything? What if she carried that secret all those years, protecting Ghost from a truth he could never handle? This kind of reveal would not only add layers to Tasha's character, but also reframe Ghost and Kanan's rivalry as more than just betrayal in business. It would become personal, painfully personal. Asterisk, and then there's Tariq. Imagine how the story changes if Kanan's connection to Tasha goes deeper than we thought. Kanan's manipulation of Tariq becomes more than a revenge tactic. It becomes symbolic, a way of pulling at old wounds, of attacking Tasha through her son. It turns Kanan's actions into something far more sinister and layered. He wouldn't just be hurting Ghost. He would be reminding Tasha of their past, of choices she made long before her son was old enough to understand. That subtext makes his storyline with Tariq even darker, even more powerful. Asterisk, what makes all of this so gripping is that power has always thrived on hidden truths. Every major twist in the series came from something the audience didn't see coming, because the characters were keeping secrets from each other and from us. Ghost kept his dreams of legitimacy from Tasha. Tommy kept his reckless choices from Ghost. Angela kept her loyalty to Ghost hidden from her team. So why wouldn't Tasha have her own secret, one connected to Kanan, the most dangerous man? In their world, that would fit perfectly into the storytelling style of the series, and it would give Power Origins the opportunity to pull the curtain back on a story we've been missing all along. Asterisk, the relationship between Tasha and Kanan is a thread that was never fully unraveled in the original show. But 50 Cent's tease suggests that it's a thread we might finally see pulled in Power Origins. And if it is, the truth could change everything, not just about how we see Tasha, but about how we see Ghost and Kanan as well. Because history doesn't just shape characters. In the world of power, history is destiny. Asterisk, what if everything we thought we knew about power was only half the story? What if Tasha's silence throughout the series wasn't just loyalty to Ghost, but a way of protecting herself from a past she could never speak about? That's the power of 50 Cent's tease. It doesn't just make us curious, it makes us question the entire foundation of the Power universe. If Kanan and Tasha shared more than the show revealed, then every decision, every betrayal, every twist that followed takes on new meaning. Asterisk, imagine Power Origins opening not with Ghost and Tommy as young hustlers, but with a scene of Tasha long. Before she became Mrs. St. Patrick, maybe she's still a teenager, already street smart, already carrying herself with the sharpness we know. And standing across from her, a younger Kanan Stark, raw, hungry, and dangerous. Their meeting wouldn't have to be romantic. It could be a moment of survival, a test of loyalty, or a shared secret that binds them forever. In that single moment, the stage is set. From then on, every time Tasha sees Kanan in the main series, the weight of that shared past would hang in the air, invisible to Ghost, but impossible for her to forget. Asterisk if this what if becomes reality. Tasha's character transforms. Instead of being remembered only as Ghost's wife, or as the mother who tried to protect her children, she becomes a central architect of the world. She would be someone who carried knowledge of both Ghost and Kanan, their strengths, their weaknesses, their true selves. It would mean she wasn't just reacting to their choices but anticipating them, because she had already seen who they were before the rest of us did. That would explain her sharp instincts, her ability to survive betrayal after betrayal, her refusal to be underestimated. She wasn't simply in the game. She may have been part of writing its earliest rules. If this what if becomes reality, Tasha's character transforms. Instead of being remembered only as Ghost's wife, or as the mother who tried to protect her children, she becomes a central architect of the world. She would be someone who carried knowledge of both Ghost and Kanan, their strengths, their weaknesses, their true selves. It would mean she wasn't just reacting to their choices but anticipating them, because she had already seen who they were before the rest of us did. That would explain her sharp instincts, her ability to survive betrayal after betrayal, her refusal to be underestimated. She wasn't simply in the game. She may have been part of writing its earliest rules. Asterisk the ripple effects of such a reveal are endless. Ghost's obsession with control would suddenly look fragile, because the woman by his side might have been carrying secrets deeper than his own. Tommy's trust in Ghost would seem misplaced, because maybe Tasha knew truths about Kanan that could have saved or destroyed them, but chose not to reveal them. And Kanan's vendetta would feel more personal, more layered, as if every shot he fired at Ghost was also meant to wound Tasha for what she represented in his past. Asterisk, and then there's Tariq. If Power Origins shows that Tasha and Kanan once shared an alliance, then Kanan's connection with Tariq becomes chilling. It would mean Tariq wasn't just a pawn in Kanan's revenge against Ghost. He was also a link to Tasha's past. Kanan taking Tariq under his wing could be read as more than manipulation. It could be a twisted continuation of the bond he once had with his mother. For Tasha, that would turn every scene with her son into something heavier. She wouldn't just be fighting to protect Tariq from Kanan's influence. She would be fighting the ghost of her own decisions, the consequences of a history she kept buried. Asterisk, this is the brilliance of the what if that 50 Cent dangles in front of us. It's not just about filling in blanks for the sake of backstory. It's about rewriting the emotional core of the Power saga. Suddenly, Ghost's story isn't just about ambition and betrayal. It's about the secrets between the three people who built that empire in the first place: Ghost, Kanan, and Tasha. Each of them bound by history, each of them carrying scars, each of them shaping the destiny of the next generation. Asterisk, and if Power Origins chooses to go down this path, the show doesn't just expand the universe, it deepens it. Fans would finally see Tasha not as a supporting character, but as a foundation. We would see Kanan not just as a villain, but as a man shaped by connections we never fully understood. We would see Ghost not as the center of everything, but as one piece in a larger triangle of loyalty, betrayal, and survival. Asterisk, so what if 50 Cent isn't just teasing? What if this has been the plan all along, to make us think Tasha's role was smaller, only to later reveal that she was one of the key players from the very beginning? If that's the truth waiting in Power Origins, then the entire story of Power takes on a new light. Every betrayal cuts deeper. Every alliance feels sharper. And every silence between Tasha and Kanan suddenly speaks volumes, because in the world of power, nothing is ever what it seems. And sometimes, the biggest secrets aren't the ones shouted in the streets, they're the ones whispered in the shadows, waiting for the right time to be revealed. So where does this leave us? After everything we've seen, everything 50 St has teased, one truth stands out. The story between Tasha and Kanan is far from over. It's not just a background detail, not just a passing line lost in the chaos of Ghost's empire. It's a thread that could unravel the entire history of the Power universe. We've watched Tasha fight to protect her family, to survive betrayal after betrayal, and to outsmart a game that never gave her a fair chance. We've watched Kanan burn bridges, betray allies, and pull strings in ways that left destruction in his path. But between them lies a silence, a shadow, a bond we still don't fully understand. And that silence may be the key to everything. If Power Origins dares to explore that backstory, then the world we thought we knew is about to shift forever. Ghost won't just be remembered as the mastermind who built and lost it all. He'll be remembered as a man standing on a foundation of secrets held by the very people closest to him. Tasha will no longer be seen as just the loyal wife or protective mother. She'll be seen as a force in her own right, a woman whose history helped shape the men who thought they controlled everything. And Kanan, he'll no longer be just the villain of Ghost's story. He'll become something far more complex, a man tied to Tasha in ways the audience never expected, a man whose war with Ghost wasn't just about power, but about history. This is why 50 Cent's tease is so powerful. It doesn't just spark curiosity, it challenges everything we thought we knew about power. It makes us look back at old scenes with new eyes. It makes every stare, every silence, every subtle exchange between Tasha and Kanan feel heavier, as if we were always missing a chapter that was waiting to be revealed. And maybe, just maybe, that chapter is the one that explains everything. So, here's the question you need to ask yourself. What if the truth finally comes out? What if Tasha and Kanan's backstory is revealed, and it rewrites the entire saga we've been watching for years? How would that change the way you see Ghost? How would it change the way you see Tariq? And most importantly, how would it change the way you see Tasha herself? Because one thing is certain. In the world of power, nothing stays buried forever. Secrets have a way of clawing their way to the surface, no matter how deep they're hidden. And when they do, the game changes for everyone. So now it's your turn. What do you think really happened between Tasha and Kanan? Was it loyalty, betrayal, or something far more dangerous? Drop your theories in the comments below. I want to hear how you see their history, and if you want to be the first to know when more secrets from Power Origins drop, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because trust me, the story is only just beginning, and the truth is always bigger than the lies we've been told.